Kalimera, Kalispera, Kalinichta, California today, my friends. Welcome to the Highbury Squad. Today is Monday Matinee. I am your co-host for the day, Demian, and we have none other than one of my favorite people on the Arsenal universe, Mr. Pete, a.k.a. Legrove, a.k.a. Pedro. Let's do this.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Yes, my friends, welcome to the special show. Special because I need special help. We have Pedro. Pedro, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm good. This is the first time I've been on a podcast where you've been hosting me, so I'm very excited.
I'm very
excited. People listening should know that we're friends already, so this won't be painful.
We are, and I want to start not only by welcoming the squaddies. We do the at ease, welcome everybody, and we're gonna have help moderating the chat. You can find all this info there. But to that point, really quickly, we've known each other for a few years. We've been friends for a while. But it's important for me to embarrass you because it's important for the world to know how much your articles have meant to me as an Arsenal fan and as a blogger. You've been a massive inspiration. I'm a little bit rogue when it comes to sort of the Arsenal fandom and what I consume. I don't watch a lot of the things that a lot of people watch. I don't read a lot of the blogs that most people watch or read. And I always read three blogs my entire life in the Arsenal world. Legrove, Arsenal News Review with Miles Palmer, and this super weird blog called Arsenal Muse that very few people might know or might remember. But if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be as connected to this club, and you have inspired me to write my own blog, and you've guided me when I started writing it, and you pushed me to do it. So I want to thank you on behalf of myself and my podcast and my blog, and I love you, and you're an amazing friend, and I'm very proud of you and what you've done, not only with Legrove, but obviously with the Arsenal Opinion podcast, my second favorite podcast, I have to say, because I'm on this podcast, obviously.
Yeah, no, you're too kind. You're too kind. What's brilliant to be on this podcast. Shame Sophie can't be about. She's not too well today.
Yeah. She's not, but we are all this family, and we're here for her. We're here to support and help out, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk a lot. And I will say, I'll preface it by saying I was busy this weekend, and I couldn't really watch the match, so I'm going to default a lot to you, Pedro, as far as some opinions and some thoughts. And can't wait to get started.
Let's get stuck in.
Yes, sir. So we all know you would have to have been living under a rock. Even I knew about this. Our star boy, BUKAYO, Saka, was injured. Horrific. And Little Bird told me that you wrote a phenomenal article about this, but I wanted to know not just your opinion on the fact that he got injured, but I'm very interested to know, sort of in your Pedro fashion, sort of the silver linings, hopium, and so on and so forth. I would love to know what you think.
It's not good. It's not good. You know, I can spin out toxic positivity about most things, but Bukayo Saka is our best player. He's one of the best players in that position in his world. And what tends to happen when teams lose their best players is they're not as good. And Manchester City lost their best player, Ballon d'Or winner, Rodri, and they've been an absolute mess. They're having their worst run in a decade. Liverpool lost Virgil van Dijk the year after getting 98 or 99 points and winning their first Premier League title under Jurgen Klopp. And I think they went to 68 points the next season. They had a massive crash. And Arsenal have lost somebody that gets G's and A's almost every game. He's so important. The aura that he gives the rest of the team, the fear he strikes into the hearts of other sides. It's difficult, and it makes the job against Arsenal a little bit easier. So we're in trouble. 2 months is a good estimate. So it's a serious hamstring injury. Sometimes they can go on even longer, and then you get the player that comes back into the mix. There's no guarantees that he comes back at full speed. So it's a difficult challenge for Arsenal to deal with here, because he's just the Mr. Arsenal these days. He's the guy, and I've been reading around people saying that we could perhaps do something in January. Guys and girls, there is nothing. There is nobody you can sign in January that's going to come close to offering what you get with Bukayo Saka. And then to make things worse, we lose the whole right side at the same time, because Raheem Sterling also seems to have done something very serious. So he's going to be out. So big problems for Arsenal. The luck gods are not with us at the moment. And it's going to be very interesting to see what Mikel does.
I would love to offer some perspective really quickly, if we can go back. Well, this kind of be answering the same question. Again, just to offer perspective. I'm not saying you're wrong. I love Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
Both Virgil van Dijk and Rodri played in sort of a spine position that, for the layman and for somebody that watches football like I do with my perspective, could be sort of more important, so to speak, in the sort of foundation of a team because of the position they play and where on the pitch they play. Whereas, not to oversimplify it, Bukayo Saka being on the wing, quote unquote, just on the wing. And by the way, I'm just trying to be like Howard Stern here for a second. So, are you generally concerned, or do you think that so do you feel there's just basically no hope? Are you saying this is season gone?
I don't think I'm a no hope phase. If we were to pivot this into a more hopeful narrative, we have a lot of attacking players. Arsenal is a side that has scored record goals in the Premier League under Mikel Arteta. It's a 90-goal team, and actually, you do make a really good point. Liverpool have partially survived without Salah in certain seasons. Man City have won Premier Leagues without Kevin De Bruyne.
Right.
Man City have won Premier Leagues without striker. Man City have won Premier Leagues with Gabriel Jesus coming to the rescue. So we have to remember that. I think I was actually thinking about this the other day. I think that losing William Saliba would be more of a death knell than losing Bukayo Saka. It's just difficult to see who's going to find the form and who's going to maintain fitness. Martinelli's a good player, but he doesn't really put up a lot of G's and A's. Gabriel Jesus blows hot and cold. Sure. Trossard's not really a consistent starter. Havertz is a good striker. He's put up good numbers this season, but he's not exactly Haaland. But big teams find ways of getting around these situations. And there is a player in Martinelli, because we've seen him before. We know Kai Havertz can go on a big goal scoring run, and Jesus has done this. He's won Premier Leagues. I think the season before he signed for Arsenal, when I was saying Arsenal shouldn't sign a number 9 that doesn't score goals, he was sitting behind Lacazette in goals scored in the Premier League in February. It was something stupid, like 3 goals he had.
Right.
And then he just went on this ridiculous run. Do you remember? I think he scored 4 against Newcastle. And he just went on this crazy one and scored a load of goals, won the Premier League, and then he came to Arsenal and then never repeated that form again. So maybe there's some hope. I mean, you can't give up. We still got a good team.
And to that point, or it brings us to the second point, which is who in the squad currently replaces Bukayo Saka? You mentioned Martinelli. Obviously, you mentioned Trossard. And you said something about Trossard that I think it's not only a fact, but it's very interesting, and we can speculate about it. You mentioned that he's not a regular starter, now he becomes automatically, in theory, one of the regular starters. He's a player that I like a lot, and I following your work, I know through Arsenal Opinion, especially one Matt Candela, he used to love. I don't know exactly where he stands right now with Gabriel Jesus and Havertz. I'm not a guy that loves either of them too much, to be completely honest with you. I think they're just really nice people, and I like my forwards to be evil douchebags that I don't want to be around, but I just want them in my team. Like Vinny Jones type attitude. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I do see as far as a replacement, I do see Trossard being not maybe at the same level as BUKAYO, but I don't see the drop off as far as the return being that much. The fear, of God that he puts into the opposing team, for sure, it's undeniable. But I do think that as far as like the optics and the metrics, and you're a stats guy, you can inform me if I'm just completely barking up the wrong tree here with Trossard being a good option. What do you think?
He just doesn't have starter energy. Do you know what I mean? Like he comes off the bench and he looks angry and he does something amazing and he finishes really well, and then he starts and he's in it and then he's out of it. He doesn't have Bukayo's consistency and or consistent impact across the entire game. He's one of those players, sometimes you're like, all you do is have final actions about you. Right. And I know it sounds stupid, but strikers in the Premier League now at the very highest level have to offer up more than just one thing, right? You have to be able to contribute to the overall game. And sometimes Trossard is absolutely electric, and sometimes he just looks annoyed. I know that Arteta sometimes struggles with his attitude in the side at the moment, but he does score goals and he does contribute. And if you can get him on a good run playing in a position that he likes, and we've got to remember, like, he kind of like dropped into all sorts of positions when Ødegaard was out. I can't imagine that he was enjoying that so much. Trying to replace what he offers the side is near impossible. But
he's barely trying to figure out what he does on his own, let alone now having to replace somebody else and become a different player, right?
But I'm more interested in Martinelli. I don't know about you. I thought he looked really good.
I love Martinelli. I've always liked him, and the typical sort of Arsenal fandom scapegoating, so and so. It rotates. It kind of goes through every player, it seems, for the past few years. I believe in Martinelli. I think sometimes it gets lost. Maybe it's the sort of musician in me, the romanticism of somebody that actually loves the club and performing for the club. Like and you could hear him talk, how he talked with Ian Wright the other day. This is a guy that loves Arsenal, and I definitely believe that he has the ability to shine more. And it's like in your line of work, in my line of work, sometimes people go down and you have to step up, and that's what you might need to become the thing and become the guy and become the man and or the woman. I see this as not necessarily as a good thing for Arsenal by any stretch of the imagination, but this is what happens. This is how teams won. When Robert Pires got injured and did his ACL, 6 months into the season or halfway through the season, people had to step up and so on and so forth. So I'm with you that
that's
Martinelli
a great reference. Is a guy. That's a really good reference. I was asking for that on the blog earlier today. I was in a bit of a low ebb, thinking about how we'd get out of this situation. And I was trying to think of what are some great stories of big players getting injured and then the rest of the team picking up around them. It doesn't even have to be just Arsenal. So maybe the squaddies can think of some great players that came in January or big names that went out injured and the team managed to work around it. But Robert Pires is a great one. Doing the hand, the bow at the end of the season, all the players. Yeah. I was actually just above him when he had that horrendous injury. So, yeah, maybe that's good. I mean, he's not out for that long. He's out for 2 months.
Right.
What you're asking for is I need one player to step up for 2 months and be a hero. I asked this question last December after Dubai. It was like, someone's got to step up and be a hero. And everyone decided to step up in the back half of the season. And I think we scored 36 goals in the first half and then 52 or something. I haven't got the numbers right. But we scored a lot of goals in the back half of the season. If you can get Jesus, if he is in form and he's like, I'm gonna be in form for 10 games, then you've got a hell of a player. And he can play on the right or the left. If Martinelli decides that he likes that right side and he wants to take a bit of control and he wants a bit of the spotlight, like some of these players must be like, we're in the forward line with BUKAYO Saka. No one's paying attention to us. Totally. Nothing we can do can match what that guy's doing week in, week out. Well, now's your chance, guys.
Yeah.
Now's your chance to step up.
And that's what a team is. And also we can't forget. I think we live in this era of instant gratification, and let's just say that Bukayo's only out for 1 week. It doesn't mean that in the following week he's going to be the same player. Like Freddie Ljungberg, one of my favorite players of all time, he would get injured. He had a hip problem. He would get injured all the time, and it would take him 3-4 matches to get into into the rhythm, and then he would be outstanding. But it would take him 2 matches. Same with Bergkamp. Bergkamp would get injured. He would have a calf problem or an ankle problem or whatever, and it would take him 1, 2, 3 matches that might have been during like crunch times of the season. So players need to step up. Martinelli has to step up. Other players need to step up. And I'm curious, if we look beyond Arsenal, who would you say in sort of the transfer market, who do you say, or who would you say is in your radar?
Well, I mean, that's a big question. My view of the January transfer market is you need to be pulling your targets from the summer into January. You can't be trying to target panic buys in January. And fans will say, anybody. Someone said to me a few seasons ago, Wout Weghorst is on the market. I was like, that is a disgraceful recommendation.
Awful. I hope you never spoke to that person again.
Yeah, Man United fans did it. And Man United fans were gassing themselves up over it. They were like, Wout Weghorst, he's going to do it. And he was atrocious. And if you fans will love the dopamine hit of any signing in January, but then next season, when that player is blocking up the squad, they won't be so forgiving. So Arsenal can't panic. We're also kind of limited on who we can loan because we've got Sterling and Neto at the club, so we can't loan from the Premier League. So, you know, I don't know whether you've been dabbling with this disgusting thought, but I was thinking about Rashford this morning.
Absolutely. And
I was thinking about him. I was like...
Again, for those of you that don't know, I'm a psychopath, and I have different perspectives than most of you when it comes to Arsenal. I like Marcus Rashford. I don't love his attitude or some of the attitude, but a player like that to a degree transcended the sport at one period in time, helping. Dude, I'm a Venezuelan. Gunnar lives in America. I don't have a race in the horse where it relates to, you know, the feeding children in England, so to speak, right? Of course, I'm up for everybody feeding children. But what Marcus Rashford has done, it's something that I'm like, I like to have that part of culture in my team to some degree. I like that cultural glue aspect of society and stuff like that. But if his attitude is not the right one, if he's not trying, if he's sulking, his body language is not right, you know, we're not talking about a child. This is not Van Persie getting a yellow card or a red card against Blackburn, whatever it was, just being a petulant child. We're talking about a grown-ass man that has been to World Cups and Euro Cups and so on and so forth. So I don't know how much leeway and why it would have to be us that sort of give him a second lease of life, so to speak. We've seen it with David Luiz, it didn't work. We see it with Willian, it didn't work. We've seen it with potentially Sterling, it hasn't worked. But I like Rashford. I think that anything that, you know, weakens opposition, I'm for. And I also am not too well versed this particular season in other players other than Camavinga that I would love to have at Arsenal. I haven't kept up with any or a lot of the players in other leagues. You know much more about this than I do.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Rashford 2 seasons ago scored 30 goals. He got 9 assists. He did that in 4,300 minutes. Arteta likes him because Rashford rips us apart almost every time he plays for us. That's why Arsenal have interest or have had interest in him in the past. And there's been some rumors that we were sniffing around him last summer. He has all the attributes that you want from a player. He's lightning quick. He's unpredictable. He's got the ability to control. You know, he's not like an Alexis Sanchez bang bang player. Like he's an intelligent guy, and he's a difference maker. And we now lack that. But the difficult side of Rashford is, I think he's like the entrepreneur who sells his business at 45 and then wants to get a job, but can't be managed. He's made it. 365 grand a week. he's one of the most famous men in football. I'm pretty sure you told me that you've seen posters of him in LA. He's a global person.
I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you know
he
what I'm
goes
talking
to
about?
Laker games courtside, and yeah, he's a guy.
He flew out when Amorim had just joined Man United. He was in New York wearing ridiculous clothes, making sure that everybody saw him with his massive entourage. I've heard that he has a huge entourage of people that follow him around. I know that he did a lot of good with the feeding the children. He's been a global ambassador for Burberry. But those things do indicate somebody that's not focused. And then you look at the comps. He's more famous for comps of him, pottering around, doing nothing on the pitch. Sure. And Arteta prizes off the ball movement. He prizes attitude. He prizes behavior on and off the pitch. And Marcus Rashford doesn't have any of that going for him. And even if you're going to borrow him from Man United for 6 months, you've got to ask, Amorim is Arteta. He is what Arteta was 5 years ago.
Yes.
Young coach coming in, and he's already fallen out with the coach. What's that say to Arteta? It's not a good story. It's not a good story. And then the social side of things. You work in, entertainment, show business. You always know that you know what's going on with the singer that's in front of you, and you know the true professionals. It doesn't matter what's going on in their personal life. They're out there and they're putting on a show.
Right.
I read a Man United fan, and this might not be exactly accurate, but I read a United fan saying there is a direct correlation between the ups and the downs of Rashford, dependent on how his dating is going. And I read a story, and again, this is just idle speculation, but it just feeds into this isn't right. I read that he's been dumped by his girlfriend because his girlfriend is going on to Love Island, which is a reality TV show where you try and date people. Can you imagine what your headspace would be?
Sure.
People in the UK go nuts. It's like old school tune-in TV. All the country's talking about is Love Island. And your ex-girlfriend is trying to hook up with people. Can you? Your head is going to be gone.
Yeah,
so
your head's
it's a no. It's a no from me, sadly.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of the comments, and I think people need to also understand. And by people, I mean a couple of the comments. Pedro and I are not saying that we want Marcus Rashford. We're saying if the transfer was posed, what we thought about it. I'm not team Rashford. I don't want Rashford at Arsenal. There have been other players that I wanted I wanted to sign Ronaldo, and people were like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I know, whatever. But anyway, before we keep going, I want to mention, Sophie, let's put up the football prizes. Well, it's not a contest, but this is an amazing opportunity. You can follow them. You can read everything in the chat. But basically, I say this very loosely because it's an incredible opportunity to win 2 tickets, hospitality tickets to the North London Derby at the Emirates Stadium, which takes place the 15th of January, 2025. It's really easy. You can check out all the info. 39p to enter. And you can also follow Football Prizes. Go to footballprizes.co.uk and get all that info. So let's keep talking about not necessarily a new transfer, but the resurgence, because resurrection is too cheesy and too predictable.
You're not going to go there.
I'm not going to.
Too obvious.
Too obvious. And as an atheist, I would have to, become somebody I'm not. I would say that hearing your thoughts on Gabriel Jesus is why I'm here. Because, again, as a fan of the AOP, I remember whether it was, I'm going to say it was Matt Candela or maybe Johnny that said that Gabriel Jesus was the best footballer at Arsenal at one given point. And I was curious to know what you thought, and especially as it relates to the current world that we live in, minus or potentially no Saka for a while, the resurgence of him with Saka on the side. Like, what do you think? Where do you stand? Talk to me.
Gabriel Jesus looks like the best player that Arsenal have. If you ever played like five-a-side football, in England, you play five-a-side, and there'd always be this kid, and he'd look absolutely magical on the five-a-side pitch. He'd just be like doing Cruyff turns. He'd be spinning on the ball. He'd be doing keepy uppies. He'd be scoring from 35 yards. Then you get him out on the 11-side pitch, and they'd be absolutely rubbish. That's been Gabriel Jesus for the last season.
That's such a good way to put it.
You know, he everything looks like I should be enjoying his game, but he's not in the right position. When he's playing badly, he does hide. You know, there was a moment a few weeks ago where he was actually behind Big Gabby, and Big Gabby was making the run. It's like, mate, you're not supposed to be playing a false four over here. But he's been out of confidence. He's had problems with his body for the last few seasons. I think he's undecided. Am I playing on the left? Am I playing on the right? He's lost his place to Kai Havertz. This is a guy who's won Premier Leagues. This is a guy who's been a number 9 for Brazil. All this, he's a rubbish player, is stupid, but he hasn't been playing his potential. He hasn't been giving us Man City levels of performances, and that all changed. That will change this week.
Yeah.
Now he's got 5 goals in 2 games. Now he looks like one of the best number 9s in the Premier League. Now he looks like the player that if you were to say, who would you go out and sign in January? If you were looking at a little comp video of this guy and you didn't know who he was, you'd say Arsenal should go and spend money on him. He looks like he's got control. He looks like he's got that bang bang about him. He can score from anywhere. He's confident. He's fast. He hangs off the shoulder. He's making darting runs into the box, and he's scoring first time instinctive goals. And if that is the Gabriel Jesus that we've got now, well, my word, maybe we don't have as much to worry about, because he looks unbelievable right now. And I just can't have, I'm seeing somebody in the comments section saying Gabriel Jesus is a bottle job. Give it a rest. Give it a rest. The man's got 4 Premier League titles. He played for Manchester City under the best coach in the world. Gabriel Jesus is not a bottle job. Is he having a bad moment? Yes, but he's not a bottle job. And I tell you what, maybe he's seen a dark place this season and knows that if he doesn't get it right, he's not going to have the career he wants, like Thomas Partey. And that's why he's putting on the form. That's why he's had the 3rd most minutes at Arsenal. So I'm all in. I think Gabriel Jesus could be the guy.
I love that. I love the perspective that you offer. I think some people are quick to forget and understand what a footballer might be going through in a personal side of things. And when you are a forward and you are synonymous with scoring goals and you're not scoring goals, that's not just part of your job, but that's part of your identity. You know, that's who you are. Like when you talk to a midfielder, you know, they say that probably I'm a football player, right? What do I do? Well, I play football. But you talk to a striker, it's what do you do? I score goals. That's my job. That's what I do. It's my identity. I'm a striker, like a goalkeeper, right? Both ends of the pitches. One is a potential sociopath and the other is a potential sociopath in another way. Here's my issue with Gabriel Jesus, with Kai Havertz, with at one point Eddie Nketiah, and even Rashford or whoever you want to think about it. You know, when I want my number 9s, I want them to be, let me put it this way, and I spoke with Sophie about this last time I saw her here in LA with Magic Mike. Shout out to Magic Mike. All those players that I mentioned, I would love them to marry my sister. I would love them to be my brother-in-law. And we go to Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving, and we go out to the beach, and they raise my niece and nephew, and it's all lovely. But who I really want is a mean mofo that I introduced to my sister, and he actually hits on my mother. Okay? Just a guy with no scruples, just an evil, you know what? Yeah, like just a dirtbag, somebody that oozes like actual fear.
Yeah.
Because to a degree, I think that fear from the wings, it's not as contained, but it's more like sort of a little more fluff and more like this sort of, flamboyant thing. Whereas the thread down the middle of Holland, etc., is like undeniable, right? And by the way, I put Vini Jr. in that sort of brother-in-law category. I'm missing that 9, and I still feel that the proverbial sword that Arteta might fall on is the way that Wenger never replaced Patrick Vieira. I'm afraid that if Arteta doesn't, I don't know who he would be replacing, but if he doesn't find the proper 9, exactly like Diego Costa, for example. My God, I hated him, but I would have loved him to play at Arsenal. So that's kind of where I stand. However, the hunger that I've seen with Gabi Jesus, it's different than what I've seen from Trossard, and where I see with Havertz, that when they score, they have gone through rough patches. And obviously this is complete speculation. I'm not a body language expert, but I see them as sort of like having proven to people that they can do the job. Whereas Jesus in the past few matches, I see as somebody that has fulfilled by his smile, fulfilled something where he's like, I know I still have it in me, and he's building this self-esteem to maybe levels where we can't comprehend because we're not there, we don't see the team. And the other thing that I loved is how happy his teammates were for him. And I try to pay attention to how, when a player scores a goal, how the rest of the team celebrates with him. And he's clearly loved by the team. So I'm kind of with you. I think that we're in good hands as far as him. If we forget about Saka for a minute, I think he has something special, and I would much rather see him play up top than Havertz, to be honest with you. I know you're Team Havertz all the way.
But Havertz played in a way that's kind of horrible. He's got sharp elbows. He's mean.
Yeah,
he's aggressive. He just doesn't have an expression on his face. I've seen some people talking about Ian Wright, and I love Ian Wright, but some of the critique of him back in the day is that we became one-dimensional because he was the singular outlet for everything. It's tough to know what we really want in that position. I'd like someone that had something a little bit different. I think having real, true pace. I'd love Ian Wright's finishing, but I'd love somebody that can just pull finishes out of anywhere and just do something a bit magical. Like I love Robin van Persie and the player that he was for Arsenal. Could score all sorts of goals, was good in the air, could score from 30 yards, could score half chances. It would be nice to have that sort of striker in the squad. I just don't know where we're going to get that at the moment. I especially don't know where we're going to get that in January. It doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot of options. I think that we'll probably wait until the summer and get Sesko.
Now, this is a random question out of the blue. This is not scripted, not that it merits an actual answer, but we see the dumpster fire that is Man City. If you could buy one player from them, who would it be? I mean, that realistically will leave, right? Before they get relegated and all that amazing stuff that hopefully is coming in a few months.
I mean, I guess if you wanted cherry on top in this Arsenal side, it would be Haaland, wouldn't it? I mean, how could you look beyond that? You just created a chance machine. You've got extremely competent wingers. You've got the younger version of Kevin De Bruyne. You've got an entire back line that could pick out his runs. We've got unbelievable step piece play. I mean, if you put Haaland in this Arsenal side right now, he wouldn't need to stay humble. He'd be back to scoring 40, 50 goals in a season. So he'd be the player that would really make Arsenal tick. You don't need Rodri. You've got Declan Rice.
Right. I'm with you. I love Declan Rice. I think he's amazing.
Who would you sign?
I have a really weird relationship with City in that up until this season, I felt like I knew all their players. And then in a blink of an eye, there's people with weird haircuts that I've never seen ever. People in different positions, Brazilian players that I never even knew existed, and they're playing so I've been sort of like, part of me feels that that's one of the reasons why it's been so weird for them this season. It's just a lot of changes and a lot of new players that didn't really adapt. I don't think I'm the right person, because I would have wanted to sign Calvin Phillips, for example, a couple of years ago, and I got a lot of stick for that. And I think if I, like you, Haaland would be the one, but I still think that Phil Foden has something so special about him that is undeniable if the right players are around him. Whereas somebody like Cole Palmer, for example, he is that on his own. But obviously, we're not talking about Chelsea. But I think I'm with you. I would say Haaland. I would would love to see that because he's a 9, because he's this bastard.
He's just a battering ram. He's Premier League brutality. He's Cristiano Ronaldo. He is a freak of nature, combined with every single positive attribute you'd want in a striker. He's just a battering ram. He's just a battering ram. He is unfairness in a side, in my opinion. That's why I like Phil Foden, but there is always a debate about him. You know, he's been terrible this season. Hasn't really contributed at all. There's never a debate about Haaland. I know he's going through a patch at the moment. The whole team's going through a patch. It's not really dealing with a lot of creativity. I think Man City is just a broken entity at the moment. But
I love the comment that said Haaland, that Guardiola ruined Haaland, as if Haaland became this.
Yeah, please.
I mean, come on,
guys.
dude.
Yeah, squaddies.
And by the way, I mean, Jesus, guys,
the
come
best
on.
of the best.
It's in like, for example, I just post the hypothetical: who would Pedro sign from City? And somebody commented like, those players would never sign for Arsenal. Well, yeah, like that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, before we go on to the last section of this show, I want to give a shout out to ZENITH Coins. If we can pull that up, give them a follow, buy their coins. They're amazing. Such a beautiful token. I have a couple here, one from the Highbury Squad, one from Arsenal. It's absolutely awesome. And I would totally encourage you guys to go check it out. And you can get a discount if you use the code SQUAD15, 15% off. So go follow at ZENITH Coins. And again, that code is SQUAD15 for 15% off. Now, Pedro, you have been a gift to my life. You're a phenomenal drummer, by the way. People don't know this, but you are a drummer, and you drum really well.
You know I'm not a phenomenal drummer.
You do. I'm very proud of you. You're a very good drummer. So, in the spirit of gifts, in the spirit of a little bit of music, we are going to do this quick, not as quick fire, but we're going to go into this last section about Christmas. Christmas stuff ing. And I have a few questions for you that we're going to pull up right now. These are top 5 talking points as it relates to Christmas. What is your favorite Christmas movie and why?
Ooh, favorite Christmas movie. Oh, maybe be a little bit controversial in Nightmare Before Christmas. Is it Halloween? Is it Christmas?
Oh, so indie, British indie rock of you. I love it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm just gonna be basic here. Home Alone.
Yeah,
can't go wrong. You know that house in Home Alone is going for $5.3 million right now.
Is it legit in Chicago?
What was Kevin's dad doing?
Yeah,
what was he doing?
There's a lot. Yeah. That's amazing. I just watched Die Hard for the first time last year, and I'm still contemplating if I see it as a Christmas movie or not. But I have to say, Love Actually is the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Ooh,
yeah,
I love
it. It's a special one. I like it. Now,
do you know, HC? Can I pivot out? I want to change it because I don't watch a lot of new movies. I never want to waste my time on something that isn't brilliant. So I try and watch classics or things that have won awards. So I don't waste my time on utter dross. I watched Sicario 2 the other day, and it was such a waste of my time.
Oh yes.
There's a Netflix film called Klaus with a K.
Yes.
And it's an animated film.
Okay.
And it is so beautiful. It is just unbelievably art directed. The acting is incredible. It's such a lovely twist on a story, and it's just perfection. I love that film. So I'm gonna get rid of the last two. I'm gonna go with Klaus because that was
okay. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna look it up. There was one that I just saw. I forget the name. It's with a guy from David, whatever, from Stranger Things. He plays Hopper in Stranger Things. It's like this. Yeah. Santa becomes an assassin, basically. It's whatever. It's
very Christmas.
I like those kinds of movies. I like the movies you don't like. So next up, favorite Christmas song.
Okay. I see. I want to be an edgelord out here and say something cool, but Mariah Carey, all I want for Christmas is you.
Okay.
That comes on. I'm like, Christmas is here.
Okay. Well, we're going to blow through these really quick. We're running out of time. Next up is Magic. Rapping skills. Not MC Eminem rapping skills. Gift rapping skills. Out of 10, what do you got?
2.
Oh, I'm a -5 easy. I'm just absolute hopeless. It's like Stevie Wonder rapping a gift. Okay, next question is, if you could buy a player a gift, what would it be?
I would buy Gabriel Jesus. I would buy him a 6-pack of 2025 confidence that will get him through the entire year, believing that he is the greatest striker in the Premier League, because that's what we need right now.
I love that. I love that. I was just asked what my favorite Christmas song is. I've been very spoiled. For the past couple of years, I've been doing this TV special on NBC where I get to play all kinds of Christmas music with all kinds of artists. And I just played Santa Baby with Kelsey Ballerini. That was pretty special. So I think I'm going to say that's... well,
it was back on this year.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, it just aired. It's on Peacock for all American people. You can watch it on Peacock. It was Kelsey Ballerini, the girls from Little Big Town, and Kate Hudson. So that was pretty cool. Very, very cool. Yes, some close-ups.
Did you wear something sparkly and
I wore
Christmas-like?
A white suit, and I had a bunch of Jingle Bell shots where you can see me. So
Very
yeah, I think that's my favorite song right now. Yeah, I think. Do we have one last question? Inside your Arsenal Christmas cracker is
Premier League title.
Let's go. My goodness, I love it. That's it, right? We don't even touch on the Champions League on this show. But anyway, my friends, we have got to go. I want to thank not only Sophie for trusting us, for allowing us this amazing space. I wanted to thank each and every one of you, and I know I speak on behalf of Pedro, all of you squaddies, Tommy, everybody that was here, that was interacting as always. We all appreciate all of you. And I want to thank, obviously, Pedro, my partner in crime for today. Please read LeGrove. Please do what I do, where I sometimes go to some of his old posts and I read some of the magic that's in there. It's really, really cool. And again, Pedro, I want to thank you for inspiring me, not only as a friend, but as a blogger and somebody that does fabulous content in a world where sometimes we have to fight against the negative content and the not so good content in the Arsenal universe. And you do a stellar job, and I'm not just saying this it's because you're my friend, but you, Johnny, Matt, you guys bring stellar content. So please keep it up. And squaddies, we love you. At ease, everybody. Goodbye. See you soon.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
All right, my friends, Merry Christmas.